Most people believe progress is a leap, a breakthrough, one perfect day on the mats where everything clicks. But if you have been in this art long enough, you know it is rarely like that. It is not fireworks. It is footsteps, quiet, almost invisible, but always forward. Kaizen, the Japanese art of continuous daily improvement, teaches us that mastery is not built on rare moments. It is built on what you do when no one is watching, on the habits you keep and the ones you quietly remove. I first heard about Kaizen from John Danaher himself. In an interview, he said, "I am a student of Kaizen." That single line stayed with me, because if one of the greatest minds in grappling credits this philosophy for his growth, it is worth paying attention to. So I found the book he was talking about, One Small Step Can Change Your Life, The Kaizen Way. I read it from start to finish, and it changed how I approach everything, not only in jiu-jitsu, but in everyday life. Danaher once said, "The submission is not the goal, it is the final result of a sequence of limitations." In other words, what matters is everything that came before, every small shift in control, every tiny adjustment that no one noticed. That is Kaizen. And once you understand it, you will never train the same way again. Because here is the truth. If you ignore this, your progress will stall. Months will pass, years will pass, and you will realize you are still making the same mistakes you made the day you earned your blue belt. But if you commit to Kaizen, just 1% better each day, the changes compound. Your guard retention gets sharper, your timing becomes more precise, and suddenly you are the person everyone is trying to figure out. If something here already speaks to your journey, tell me in the comments. Tell me what connected with you and where you are listening from. I like knowing how far this art travels, and if you have not yet, subscribe. Not for me, but so you do not lose track of this path we are walking together. This is not theory, it is a practice, and in the moments ahead we will explore exactly how Kaizen can reshape your jiu-jitsu and your everyday life, step by step, with the help of wisdom from one of the greatest minds in grappling. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Philosophy of Kaizen in Jiu-Jitsu and Life. Kaizen begins with a simple truth. Change is easier when it is small. Most people look for big changes. They chase a new training system, a brand new diet, a fresh start, and for a while they feel different, but the fire fades and they find themselves back where they started. Kaizen rejects the idea that progress must be sudden. Instead, it asks for something much smaller, a commitment to improve just a little every single day. It is a philosophy that turns the impossible into the inevitable, not by forcing massive change, but by making change so small that your mind offers no resistance. In jiu-jitsu, that might mean improving the angle of your grip escape by a fraction of an inch, learning to shift your hips just a little faster when passing, holding a dominant position for 1 extra second before attacking. Small things, almost invisible to the eye, but they stack day after day until they are impossible to ignore. John Danaher puts it this way: the process of skill development is one of incremental progress. You build a foundation, then you add small pieces to it, and over time, those small pieces create something great. And here is the secret. Kaizen works not only on the mat, but everywhere. The same principle that sharpens your guard can strengthen your discipline at work, your focus in study, your patience with family, because improvement is not a jiu-jitsu skill, it is a life skill. So the question is, what is your first small step? Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Choose one thing you can make better by 1%. Then, do it again tomorrow, and again the day after that. It will not feel like much at first. It will almost feel like nothing is happening, but months from now, you will look back and see just how far those small steps have carried you. Chapter 2: The Power of Small Wins. One of the most powerful ideas in Kaizen is the small win. A small win is not about victory in the traditional sense. It is not submitting a stronger training partner. It is not winning gold at a tournament. It is the quiet, almost invisible moment when you realize something has changed, when you notice that you can do something today that you could not do yesterday. It might be escaping a bad position a few seconds earlier than before. It might be successfully stopping a pass that used to always work against you. It might be keeping your breathing steady under pressure instead of letting panic take control. These moments are small. There is no crowd cheering, no highlight reel, but they are the foundation of mastery. John Danaher once said, "Progress is best measured by the accumulation of small victories." That is because skill is not built all at once. It is built in layers, one brick at a time, and years later, those bricks have formed something that looks unshakable. Think about the first time you learned to escape the mount position. At the beginning, you may have tried to push the person off with your arms, wasting energy, losing posture, exposing submissions. Then you learned to create space, turning slightly to one side, sliding a knee inside, framing both hands against the hips to keep the weight from following you. The first few times, you still failed, but one day, without much thought, the escape worked. That was a small win. Or think about a player who keeps losing the same control battle. Every round, their opponent takes a dominant grip or hand position, and the rest of the exchange goes downhill from there. It feels hopeless, until one day they adjust their timing, move their hands earlier, and deny the control entirely. The pace of the round changes. That is another small win. Kaizen teaches us to notice these things, to value them. Because when you train your mind to see progress in these small ways, your motivation changes. You stop chasing the single, dramatic breakthrough and start building momentum from dozens of quiet victories. And this does not just apply on the mats. It is the same in everyday life. It is preparing one healthy meal when you would have ordered something unhealthy. It is reading a few pages of a book instead of staring at a screen all night. It is getting up early just once this week to start the day on your own terms. John Danaher also said, "Every day you either get a little better or you get a little worse. You never stay the same." Small wins are how you make sure that each day you are moving forward. In training, those small wins might mean you defended longer in a bad position, or you stayed calmer in a scramble. In life, it might mean you finished a task you have been putting off. These moments seem small because they are easy to overlook, but over time, they are the very thing that transforms you. So, do not wait for the medal, the rank, or the perfect day. Build your confidence from the little victories you create every single day, one by one, until they become who you are. Chapter 3: Eliminating Waste. Kaizen is not only about adding new things, it is also about removing what does not serve you. In Jiu-Jitsu, this means cutting out movements, habits, and decisions that waste energy without bringing you closer to your goal. It means identifying the patterns that slow you down, expose you to danger, or distract you from what truly matters in a match. John Danaher says, "Efficiency in movement is not just about doing the right things, it is about eliminating everything that does not need to be done." The best athletes are not the ones who do the most moves. They are the ones who remove the unnecessary until what remains is pure precision. Picture two athletes. One is frantic, constantly changing grips, shifting positions, trying something new every few seconds. The other is calm, steady, focused. Every grip, every movement has purpose. The first one burns out before the round is over. The second one is still fresh, still dangerous, still in control. This is the difference that eliminating waste creates. Waste in jiu-jitsu can take many forms. It can be a habit of reaching too far for grips, leaving yourself open to counters. It can be holding a position that is not leading anywhere, instead of transitioning to something more dominant. It can be ignoring your breathing until you are exhausted, not because you were overwhelmed, but because you spent energy without need. Think about guard passing. A beginner might try to force their way through with pure strength, leaning all their weight forward, pushing and pulling without direction. A more experienced player learns to cut angles, place pressure in specific points, and wait for the right timing. One burns themselves out in seconds. The other uses less energy and gets more results. The same principle applies in defense. When you are trapped under side control, wasting energy by pushing at your opponent's upper body rarely works. Instead, framing at the hips, keeping your elbows tight, and moving with small, deliberate shifts will save your energy and create better opportunities to escape. Kaizen teaches us to constantly ask, what here is unnecessary? If you can remove one wasted movement, one wasted habit, or one wasted thought each training session, you will make more progress than by adding 10 random techniques you cannot apply under pressure. And this does not end when you leave the gym. In life, waste can be clutter on your desk that slows your focus. It can be endless scrolling on your phone that steals hours without you noticing. It can be saying yes to things that drain you instead of moving you toward your goals. Danaher puts it simply, focus is not just about what you pay attention to, it is also about what you ignore. The more waste you remove from your day, the more space you create for what matters. So here is the Kaizen approach. In training, notice one thing you did today that was unnecessary and remove it next time. In life, notice one task, habit, or distraction that gave you nothing and cut it out tomorrow. If you keep doing this, your game will become sharper, your energy will last longer, and your attention will move like a laser toward the things that actually make you better. Improvement is not only about adding more. Sometimes the fastest way forward is by doing less. Chapter 4: The Kaizen Mindset Under Pressure. Pressure. It is the one thing every practitioner faces, no matter their style, size, or skill level. Pressure can be physical, the crushing weight of someone pinning you to the mats. Or it can be mental, the voice in your head telling you that you are too tired, too far behind, too outmatched to win. Kaizen teaches that pressure is not something to avoid, it is something to work within, because the moments when you are under pressure are the moments when the smallest improvements matter most. John Danaher says, "The true test of skill is not how well you perform when you are fresh, but how well you perform when you are tired, stressed, and under threat." This is where Kaizen becomes more than a philosophy. It becomes a survival strategy. When you are trapped in a bad position, Kaizen thinking keeps you from panicking. Instead of trying to explode out in one desperate burst, you make one small improvement at a time. First, protect your neck. Then control the hips, then create 1 inch of space, then another, until the position breaks. In training, this mindset changes everything. Beginners often fight pressure with force, burning all their energy in seconds. Advanced players know to make minimal, deliberate movements that slowly turn the tide. They do not need to win in one move. They just need to make things a little better than they were a moment ago. This is also how Kaizen keeps you calm in high-stakes matches. You do not think about winning the entire match at once. You think about winning the next exchange, not letting the opponent's hand get to the collar, not letting their knee cut past your guard. Small wins, under pressure, that build toward victory. And the truth is, the same principle works outside of jiu-jitsu. Pressure is everywhere in life. Deadlines at work, bills to pay, decisions that affect your family. If you try to solve everything in one move, you overwhelm yourself. But if you focus on the next small step, the next clear action you can take, the pressure becomes manageable. Danaher often talks about composure. He says, calm is a form of control. If you control yourself, you are halfway to controlling the situation. Kaizen under pressure is simply the practice of staying calm enough to see the next move. This also means training your recovery. When you get swept, instead of dwelling on the mistake, you immediately think, what is the first small step to escape? When you lose a match, instead of letting it crush you, you ask, what is the smallest thing I can improve before the next one? Over time, this mindset makes you unshakable. You stop seeing pressure as a threat and start seeing it as an opportunity to apply your Kaizen practice. In life and on the mats, the person who can stay calm under pressure will outlast the person who cannot, not because they are stronger, but because they waste nothing. No energy, no movement, no thought. The next time you feel the weight of an opponent or the weight of a problem in your life, do not look for the one big move. Look for the one small improvement you can make right now, and then the next, and then the next. That is how pressure becomes progress. Chapter 5. The compound effect of Kaizen. Most people underestimate how much change can happen over time. They look for results in a week, maybe a month, and when they do not see them, they believe nothing is working. But here is the reality. Small improvements compound, and when they do, the effect is far greater than you can imagine. Kaizen is built on this truth, that 1% better each day does not add up. It multiplies. Like interest on an investment, the growth starts small, almost invisible, but give it time, and the curve explodes upward. Think about it. If you improve your guard retention by 1% every week, the change is barely noticeable at first. But after 6 months, opponents who used to pass with ease now struggle. After a year, their passes almost never succeed, and all you did was add 1% at a time. John Danaher explains, repetition without improvement is wasted effort. Repetition with even the smallest improvement builds unstoppable momentum. That momentum is the heart of the compound effect. On the mats, this shows up in ways you might not expect. Maybe you start by holding side control just a little longer each round. That small gain forces your training partners to work harder to escape. That extra effort creates openings for submissions. Soon, the position that used to feel temporary becomes one of your strongest weapons. Or maybe you focus on improving your transitions, moving from guard to back control with smoother timing. At first, it is clumsy, but you refine it. One grip change here, one hip adjustment there. Over time, what used to take 5 separate movements is now a single, fluid sequence. Your efficiency rises, your energy lasts longer, and your success rate skyrockets. The compound effect is sneaky. It hides your progress until one day, in a single round, everything feels different. The training partner who used to dominate you can no longer keep up. They think you got better overnight, but you know it was 100 small changes layered on top of each other. And here is the thing, this is not just about jiu-jitsu. In life, the same math applies. If you save a little money every week, the number seems small until years later, when it has grown into something substantial. If you learn one new skill each month, it might feel slow, until those skills combine to open doors you never expected. Most people give up before the compounding can take effect. They stop showing up when the results feel too small. But Kaizen is about trusting the process enough to keep going, even when you cannot yet see where it leads. Danaher often says, skill is not built in leaps, it is built in layers. Every time you add a layer, no matter how thin, the whole structure becomes stronger. And when you stack enough of them, the difference is undeniable. So here is the challenge. Commit to one improvement so small you almost laugh at it. Hold side control 3 seconds longer. Recover guard 1 more time in each round. Get to your escape position 1 beat earlier. Track it, protect it, add to it. Because if you do this long enough, something amazing happens. The 1% gains become 5%, then 10, then entire skill sets you did not have before. And it all started with changes so small, most people would have ignored them. That is the compound effect of Kaizen, invisible at first, inevitable over time. Chapter 6: Breaking Plateaus with Kaizen. Every grappler knows the feeling. You train, you show up, yet progress stalls. This is the plateau, the silent wall where nothing moves. Many stop here. Kaizen sees it differently. You don't smash the wall, you chip at it, one small improvement at a time. John Danaher says, when you hit a plateau, it's not because there's nothing left to learn, it's because you're repeating the same mistakes in the same way. It's not about more effort, it's about smarter changes. First, find the pattern. Film your training. Watch the exact moment things break down. Maybe you lose balance on transitions. Maybe an opponent's control always comes first. Second, pick the smallest fix with the biggest payoff. Work only on that until it sticks. If you lose back control, don't rebuild everything. Tighten just the connection of your chest and hands, then move to the next link. Plateaus can also be mental, avoiding weak positions, staying only with safe moves. Kaizen breaks this with challenges too small to resist. If you fear standing exchanges, attempt one each round. If you avoid submissions, start with the setup. Add the finish later. Danaher says, progress is a game of adjustments. The longer you go without one, the longer you stay where you are. A plateau ends the moment you change approach. Stay patient. Keep adjusting. One day, without forcing it, the wall is gone. Chapter 7: Kaizen in Problem Solving and Creativity. Jiu-Jitsu is problem solving under pressure. Every roll is a series of questions your opponent asks, and you answer with movement. Kaizen turns problem solving into a habit. Instead of rushing for one big solution, you break the problem down into small, manageable steps. John Danaher says, the essence of Jiu-Jitsu is the ability to adapt and create solutions in real time. Adaptation is not magic. It is the result of thousands of small experiments over time. Think about a guard pass that keeps shutting you down. Most people try to find one perfect counter and force it. Kaizen takes a different path. Adjust one detail at a time. First, change your grip placement. Next, alter your hip angle. Then, control their distance differently. Each change teaches you something new. Creativity works the same way. No one invents a new submission in one session. It starts as a small variation on an existing move. That variation gets refined. Pieces are added. Weaknesses are removed. Months later, it has become something unique. In everyday life, problem solving through Kaizen looks similar. If a project at work feels overwhelming, break it into the smallest actions possible. If you're learning a new skill, isolate one piece until you own it, before adding the next. Danaher reminds us, the best solutions are rarely the most complicated. They are the simplest ones done perfectly. Kaizen strips away the noise so you can see those simple answers clearly. This approach also keeps frustration low. When you solve a problem one small piece at a time, you get constant feedback. Each small success builds confidence for the next step. Over time, you stop fearing problems. On the mat or in life, you start seeing them as puzzles. Puzzles you know how to solve because you've trained your mind to work in small, deliberate steps. Chapter 8: Kaizen for longevity and staying sharp for years. In Jiu-Jitsu, it's not the person who trains the hardest for a year that wins the long game. It's the one who can keep training for decades. Kaizen is the ultimate approach for longevity, because when you make changes small, you protect your body and your mind from burnout. John Danaher says, training is not just about today's gains, it's about protecting your ability to train tomorrow. Every decision you make on the mat should serve both your progress now and your ability to keep going years from now. This means avoiding the trap of trying to overhaul everything at once. Pushing your body to its limit every session may feel productive, but it breaks you down faster than you can rebuild. Kaizen instead says, adjust your training just enough to grow without destroying your recovery. Longevity is not only about avoiding injury, it's about keeping your mind sharp. If you stop learning, you start declining, no matter your age or rank. That's why small daily improvements matter so much. You don't just train harder, you train smarter. You refine techniques that put less stress on your joints. You build strength in the muscles that protect your weak spots. You focus on timing and positioning instead of relying on speed and explosiveness alone. In life, Kaizen for longevity works the same way. It's sleeping a little better each week. It's making one healthier food choice each day. It's learning skills that will serve you for decades instead of chasing quick wins. Danaher reminds us, the future is built by what you protect today. Every small choice that keeps you healthy, mobile, and curious compounds into years of extra time to train, learn, and live fully. So if you want to still be sharp years from now, stop thinking in sprints, think in seasons, think in decades, and make the small changes that let you keep stepping on the mat, not just next week, but 10 years from now. Conclusion: the endless path. When I first heard John Danaher say in an interview that he was a student of Kaizen, it stopped me. Here was one of the greatest minds in Jiu-Jitsu, still calling himself a student, still committed to small, daily improvement. That's when I picked up the book, One Small Step Can Change Your Life, the Kaizen Way, and it changed how I train, how I think, how I live. Kaizen isn't just about Jiu-Jitsu, it's about how you approach everything. It's the mindset that says, no matter how far you've come, there's always a next step. On the mats, it's refining one grip, escaping 1 second faster, holding one position longer. In life, it's one better choice each day, one more moment of patience, one more skill learned. The path doesn't end, and that's the beauty of it, because the moment you think you've arrived, you stop growing. Danaher says, the greatest danger to progress is the illusion that you've already made enough of it. Kaizen protects you from that illusion. So keep showing up, keep stacking the small wins, keep removing the waste, keep creating, adapting, protecting your longevity. And if this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear your story. Tell me in the comments, where are you from and what's the next small step you're going to take? If you want to keep walking this path with me, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next step in the journey. Kaizen is not a destination, it's a way of living. and the path never ends.